Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video will be on this beautiful gown that you can see. And if this is the first time of stopping by, hi, nice meeting you for the first time. Please consider subscribing to my channel, and to my old subscribers I say thank you very much for all your support. So let's go into the video. So for this pattern, you're supposed to fold your pattern into two. That's your pattern paper will be folded into two. And we'll continue. Don't mind my was is in one, but afterwards I folded it into two to cut out another one. That was the mistake from my part. So I marked a straight line to serve as our starting point, and then from there I will go ahead and mark my bust point, which is at 7.5 inches, and then I will go ahead and mark my half length, which is at 14 inches. So this style is for 8 to 9 years, but like I keep mentioning, please measure your child to be sure of your measurements. So the next thing I'm marking is half of my shoulder measurement plus half inch. So the half inch is for us to be able to stitch our sleeve, or to add our sleeve, and I connected the point to my bust point. Then for my shoulder slope, I am going down by 0.75, and I'll connect it to my starting point. Once I am done with this, we are going to go ahead and mark our neckline. So for this pattern is for the front one. So for the back neckline, I am marking at 4.5 inches, and then for the width, for the depth, I am marking at 3 inches. So just like I mentioned, this pattern is for the front. We are going to be using it to cut out our back pattern. So I'll go ahead, since my French curve is not up to it, I'll just use my free hand to connect this neckline. Once we are done with this, I'll go ahead and mark quarter of my bust measurement. That's my bust measurement divided by 4. I'll make a point there, which is 8 inches. I'll make a point there, and then I'll connect my armhole. If you haven't seen the detailed video of how to cut out your bodice, please check it out. I'll put it in the description box. It's very detailed, and there's nothing you're looking for that you're not seeing it. So this is for our front neckline. For our front armhole, I'll go ahead and cut out my back armhole. If you watch that video, you will see all these things being explained the way you understand it better. So this is for front, and the first one is for our back. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to mark my waist measurement divided by 4. I'll make a mark there, and then I'll connect these 2 points, the bust and the waist measurement. Once I am done with this, I'm going to go ahead So I'll go ahead and cut it out. What you saw me do earlier was transferring this to my folded pattern, just like you heard me said earlier that you're supposed to mark your measurement on a folded pattern. So I included my back neckline, which is 1 inch, and then I cut it out. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer this to my pattern paper, and I'm just adding ½ inch stitching allowance all around. Then at the seam side, I added 1.5 inches, and also you notice that I also added zipper allowance to it. So I'm just cutting out my back body so that we'll trim out every other part we are supposed to trim out for our front bodies. So for our front bodies, the reason for making your measurements marking your measurements in a folded pattern is because of the design at the front. So coming from the one side of the seam line, of the seam side, I'll come in by 4.5 inches. I'll make a point there, and then I'll mark 2 inches after that. So we have 4.5 inches and 2 inches. Then coming from the shoulder line, I'll go down by 9 inches or 9.5 inches. I'll make a mark there. So I'm just connecting this 9 inches or 9.5 inches, whichever works for you, depending on how big or small your child is, so that you guys can see what you are going to be doing. So we are going to be working with this box of 2 inches. I just hope you understand it, but when you look at the video, you understand what I'm trying to say. So we're going to be working with these 2 points. Coming from the armhole, almost towards like 1 inch away above the bust point that we marked earlier, I'll make a curve to come to the one leg of the 2 inches. So remember, I am using my free hand, so I'll keep curving till I'm okay with what I have, and then I'll curve from the other side up to that bust point like we started from the other side. So I'll keep doing it until I am okay. So I'll go ahead and cut this out, but before that I'll cut out my neckline, and then I'll open it up and cut out this design that we just created. I just hope you understand. If you don't, please rewatch the video, you will understand. Even if you don't understand what I'm trying to say, but you understand what is going on the video. So I transfer this to my pattern paper, and I'm going to add to my fabric, I'm going to be adding 1/2 inch on every side, and then at the same side I'm adding 1.5 inches. Don't forget that. And then every other side will be having 1/2 inch stitching allowance to it. Then for the upper side of it, I'm using this fabric for it, and then I'll just, like I did for the other side of every pieces of my pattern, I am adding 1/2 inch stitching allowance all around, and then I'll go ahead and cut this out. So this is it after I'm done with it. This is how it's going to look by the time you are done stitching it down. So I'm going to go ahead and do front facing front, and then I'll go ahead and start pinning this down. While stitching it down at that 2 inches area, you might find it a bit difficult, not really difficult, but just a bit. All you have to do is turn it to the right side, making sure that, and hold it with your pin, making sure that you are getting what you want correctly. Then turn it to the wrong side and stitch it down. I just hope you understand what I'm trying to say. So I'll stitch it from one end to the other. So this is what I have. And remember, please, before you cut out this pattern, this design on this, make sure you use the pattern to cut out your lining for it. You don't want to start dividing your linings. It's going to make your work. So you can see the lining of my front bodice. I cut this out before separating it so that I will have a whole bodice there. So I'll go ahead and arrange my fabric well. Then I'll go ahead and start pinning on the neckline. Once I am done pinning this, I'll go ahead and stitch it down, and I'll do the same thing for the back one. I'll also stitch it down by 1/2 inch. So this is what we have. After that, I'll make notches around the neckline and also do the same thing for the back one before turning it to the right side. So once I am done turning this to the right side, I'll go ahead and do front facing front. And once I am done with that, I'll pick up my one side of my shoulder. I'll make sure my neck seam line is matching. You see the way I opened it up. Please go ahead and do the same. Once I open it up, I'll make sure that my seam line is matching each other. I'll pin that area down first. Then I'll pin every other side. Once I am done with that, I'll stitch it on my sewing machine, and I'll do the same thing for the other side. So this is my sleeve. I'll cut it out. I don't want this tutorial to be too long, so I cut it out and I hem this as well. I'll put in the description box the tutorial of cutting your basic sleeve, both long and short. And while cutting this sleeve, you're supposed to add like 1 inch extra. Apart from your normal stitching allowance, you're going to be adding 1 inch extra. And then I also cut out this fabric. For the width of it is 1.5 inches, then the length is as long as your sleeve. So I'll fold it into two this way, and then I'll fold my sleeve this way, the way you see me do. I'll place this piece in between it, and then I'll fold it down, and then I'll stitch it down after stitch it all the way to the end. I'll do the same thing for the other sleeve, and this is the easiest way to do this. You can do it another way if you want, but this is my way of doing. This is the way I did mine, so that it will be easier for me and also neat at the back. I don't want to start cutting and cutting it. So onto our bodice, you can see our sleeve. I'm done stitching my shoulder line. I'm just cutting out the excess on it so that there will be no bulge at the shoulder line. Once I am done with this, I'll go ahead and do front facing and open it up, sorry, so that we attach our sleeve. I almost forgot that we have sleeve because I'm not used to attaching sleeve these days. So you're going to be doing front facing front, and then I'll stitch it from one end to the other, and I'll do the same thing for the other side. So this is what we have after stitching it down. The next thing I'm going to be doing is to do front facing front, and then I'll go ahead and stitch it down from one end to the other, but I'll pin my belt first before stitching it down, so that by the time I want to stitch it, I'm going to do everything together. So for this belt is about 20 inches, and then the width is about 3 inches. So you stitch it, turn it inside out from one side, and that side that is open is where you are going to put at your seam side. I've done this a couple of times, so I think there's no need for me to be doing it again, so that this video is not always long. So once I am done with stitching the seam side, this is what we have, and you can see it is coming out well and neat and giving what it's supposed to give. So on to our lower part, our skirt part. This is 3 yards of fabric, and then I took out my half length and cut out the remaining one plus stitching allowance. So I hemmed it, and then I'll go ahead and gather this. So this is it. After gathering my fabric, I'll bring in my bodice. I'll be doing front facing front, and then I'll stitch it down. So for what we have at that design at that place, I decided to make my as a pocket. So I'll hem the upper part, and I'll do the same thing for this other side. I'll stitch it down. Once I am done with this, I'll bring in my bodice. At this point, I've not still added my zipper. So what I will do is just to pin down this zipper so that it will stay in place for us to be able to attach what we have, or let me say the pocket, because I decided to make mine a pocket. So once I pin it down, I'll turn it to the right side, and then I'll arrange my fabric well. You need to arrange this well so that by the time you stitch this down is where you want it to be. Then I'll bring in my the piece, and remember where we hem is supposed to be at the upper side, because just like I said, I'm making my a pocket. So I'll pin this down to keep it in place. Then I'll go ahead and start folding the remaining 3 sides of the pocket of it. I'll fold this place, fold this one, and then I'll fold the last one, and I did the same thing for the other side. So this is what we have after we are done. I'll go ahead and close my zipper allowance and attach my zip. I hope you find this video helpful. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, leave a nice comment for me, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed. Don't forget to watch my ads.